friends, it's Tanatoes again, and today we're going to do a little bit more PSVR play. If you joined me last Thursday morning, I had purchased the PSVR and I was playing around with it, having a lot of fun, and now I am ready to dive right back in, show you guys a little bit more PSVR fun. I wanted to spend a little bit of time at the front of my video here talking PSVR, how it works, some tips and tricks that I've picked up in the last weekend of playing around with it, so you can have some of that information for yourself. I also want to say thank you to anybody who's watching. I hope that you're enjoying seeing me play around with games and stuff. I love doing this. I love doing this streaming. It's fairly time intensive, just setting up my rig here and making sure that everything is going out. I'm still trying to find a way to monetize it. I do have a Patreon. If you want to check that out, it's patreon.com/Tanatoes. I think it will be linked in the description for this video. And I encourage people to, if you're enjoying this, like, subscribe, send suggestions in the comments about what you'd like to see me play, things like that. I'm working on updating the Patreon, making it a more accurate representation of what I'm trying to do, as well as, just making this stream better and more entertaining. Anyhow, let's jump into the PSVR. So here we have my PSVR headset, and a couple of things have made themselves known since I purchased it and since I've been playing with it pretty constantly over the last weekend. One thing is the lenses on the inside of the PSVR here tend to get a little bit of condensation, just because the nose piece here, I don't know, the way that it sits on my face. Well, for one thing, for some reason, my pores just spit grease. I get grease on my glasses all the time, and now I'm getting grease on the inside of my PSVR. Luckily, Sony is kind enough to give us a cleaning cloth, so be sure you use that before each viewing. Just wipe the lenses there. I'm also wiping my glasses. Another thing is, when I first started playing with the PSVR, I was making it as snug as possible on my face, and that's not necessarily the best way to do it. They say in the sort of loading screens to adjust, by pushing this button here and pushing in and out on the headset here, you can adjust how far it is from your face, and they say to adjust it until it's in focus. What I've found is, what I was doing is pulling it as close to my face as I could, so that these sort of shields on the sides here would present a smoother environment, I guess, by blocking out more light. And the effect was that it was actually pushing the lenses of the PSVR against the lenses of my glasses. I began to worry that I was actually doing damage to the lenses in the PSVR. I don't believe that they have scratched in any way. They probably have a protective coating of some sort, but rather than risk it, I'm going to make sure when I adjust the headset that my glasses are not being pushed against the lenses in the PSVR. And I would advise anybody else who wears glasses to do the same. I'm actually seriously considering the next time I go in to get my prescription updated, getting contact lenses, so that I don't have to worry about that, and so that the PSVR isn't pushing on the edges of my glasses and pushing them into my face. I've played around with a couple of different headset options. As far as I have been able to determine, the PlayStation unit itself, the PS4 that I have at least, does not have a headphone jack on it. Very weird. So the only headphone jack I have is the one that's on the PSVR cord here. That little hole on this white tab here is the only access to headphones that I have. I can plug headphones into the television, which is what I was doing when I had the PSVR set up at Battleground, and it worked fairly well. For that, I was using my, oh, I can't reach them here. I have a big set of Turtle Beach, full headphones that completely cover my ears, and I like those a lot better than the earbuds that came with the PSVR, these little things here. They're just, I don't know, they're not super comfortable for me. I know some people use earbuds a lot, and obviously they're very popular, but I'd prefer to have cans over my ears. I also think that it helps to block out the environment and make the game more, I don't know, make being in the world easier. Anyways, today what I'd like to do is play some Rez Infinite. I played a ton of it yesterday. Got to the Mission X stuff, but I'm not going to do that today. I would definitely advise, if you have Rez Infinite, check that Mission X stuff out, because it is gorgeous. Oh my goodness. It's basically next generation Rez. I'm not a huge fan of the flying controls, because the whole thing with Rez is that it's on rails, and flying around can be a little awkward. My advice to people playing with Rez is make sure that you're in an environment where you can turn a full 360 degrees and look around behind you, particularly the boss on level 4, or I don't know what you would call it, world 4, the Running Man boss. For whatever reason, the game doesn't rotate the camera automatically to face him when he's behind you. Oh, another thing with the PSVR, I've noticed that drift is a pretty big problem with it, which by which I mean, because the unit itself uses accelerometers inside the unit to determine its direction, and those accelerometers over time, I don't know, with just sort of an accumulation of data, can tend to realign themselves. This is an issue that accelerometers in gaming have had for a long time. You may have played Skyward Sword on the Wii, and it would instruct you periodically to point your Wii controller straight up, and that was it recentering itself. It was programmed into the game. It also, oftentimes when you're playing Wii games for an extended period of time, especially with the Wii Plus remote, it will tell you, if it starts to drift, put it down and reset it. There is a reset function for the PSVR. It is to hold the select button on your PlayStation controller. It doesn't seem to be 100% accurate to me. Very often I would find my viewpoint drifting further and further from the front, so that in order to face forward, I'd have to be facing far off to the left or right. And that became quite disorienting. I suppose it's just a built-in way to make sure that you don't play too super long. They don't advise you to spend 5 hours at a time playing PSVR. That's advice I choose to ignore, because gamer. Anyhow, I'm going to put on some headphones, turn this thing on, and play some Rez Infinite. Again, I'll remind you, I cannot see the chat when I'm in here. Sony, this would be a nifty thing to have for the next PSVR, if anybody from Sony is watching, which I severely doubt. But I'd like to have an extra input that creates like just a floating window inside the PSVR that would obscure a portion of your view that you could put other inputs into. For example, my chat window. It would be very handy to have that in there, but I don't have that option, and there's not really any way for me to manufacture it, sort of bodge it together, as far as I can tell, because the HDMI inputs to this, the things that go into this little box here, also carry data and power, so I can't just replace those HDMI cables or stick something in between them and my visor, as far as I can tell. Anyhow, going in, you'll recall there's a button on the back of the band here. You push that to expand the band and fit it over your head. There we go. And then that button down there to sort of adjust how far the goggles are from your face. And this little button here to turn it on. There we go. I do wish that these on the sides of my face, there we go. Push this out a little bit, push it in a little bit. They have a knob on the back here that you can rotate. Another thing I've found is that accuracy is very much dependent on how far away from... Oh, I'm going to mute the microphone. I don't want it doing stuff while I'm playing. Accuracy is very much dependent on how far you are from the PlayStation camera. I'm sitting about 3 feet from the PlayStation camera, which I've found to be optimal. If you're further away than that, you'll notice from time to time that the tracking is a little jittery, and I think it's worse when you're further away from your source, or too close to it. Anyhow. Alright, that's nicely in focus. Oops. And I'm going to go into Rez. Oh, I should probably switch the feed so you can see what I'm seeing. There we go. Alright, going in. I have experienced motion sickness for the first time yesterday while I was playing. It was one of the PlayStation Worlds demos that come with the machine, or at least came with the version that I have. Oh, here I am. Lovely. I can see myself. You can see. All right. So I'm not doing anything that requires it to see the controller, so it's okay that the controller is out of view. It should be able to see my visor adequately, and there's nothing immediately in front of me that I'm in danger of whapping as I play. All clear. Let's go. Into virtual reality. Yeah, I'm still getting some light bleed around the edges here. I don't know quite how to rectify that problem. All right. Okay. Photosensitivity warning. And here we have our rotating logo. It's all nice in 3D. Thank you, Enhance. Made by Monsters. Monstars. Because they're stars. There's an error. Here we are. So, Rez has been around for a long time now. I believe it was originally on the, what was it, the Sony. But now, and it's always been one of those games that has a sort of a look that emulates what people imagined VR would look like in the 80s. All neon and cool. And it's just spectacular to actually be inside the game. So I have unlocked Area X. It is super gorgeous. I'll show it to you guys probably on my next stream, but today I'm just going to play standard Rez, and I think I'm just going to, I'll start on Area 2, because Area 1 is, well, I could do Area 1. Oh, one thing I would also advise for people who are playing with PSVR, give yourself some external indication of time. Because I was playing this game yesterday, and I think I probably spent 2.5 hours playing nothing but Rez, and it felt like minutes. Time just disappears when you're in another world. So, I'm going to set myself an alarm. Let's see. I'm going to set an alarm for, let's say 11 o'clock. That gives me a little bit of time to play. So, set an alarm for 11 o'clock a.m. There we go. That way, I won't get carried away. And let's start. Logging in. So you can see tracks my head, which is amazingly easier than using the joystick to aim. Just look at the things you want to shoot, and it's super intuitive and easy to do. I'm using the X button to lock on. So the game of Rez, I would qualify it as a rhythm shooter because the music is so integral to the game, to the experience. It's all about knocking out your enemies, collecting power-ups like any shooter, and then periodically get a level up by shooting these cubes. I'm pretty sure you can game the system by refusing to kill or use the power-up, and it will rotate you back through the level, so you can do the level several times and get a bunch of extra power-ups. So you'll notice that I'm grabbing a couple of different things when I'm not shooting something and instead it sort of sends out a tractor beam. Those are power-ups that I'm grabbing. Side view. I thought maybe this would be disorienting in VR, but it's actually not bad. Okay, so that is a shield power-up. When you fill up this white bar here, I don't know if you can see that under my display. There's a white bar here, and when that fills up, I missed some stuff showing it to you. You level up, and your avatar gets more complex. Not playing a perfect game, but that's fine. So there you go. Pick that up. It goes into that bar down there. And you can see that my avatar now has sort of silver joints instead of just being an outline. If I fill up that white bar again, I'll level up again, or and that's basically shields, because if I take a hit, my avatar goes down to less complex. I think there's 8 levels to your avatar. The other power-up that you can grab, and I haven't seen one in a little while because I've probably maxed it out, is there's a sort of auto-cannon thing, which is the circle button. I'm just pushing the X button to lock onto things. You can have up to 8 lock-ons, and then you release the X button to release your shots. Alright. You can shoot missiles that are coming from... There we go. So that's that down there, overdrive. You can have up to 4 overdrives active at a time. If you fill it up after that, it doesn't give you any more. And I don't use overdrive very often. Usually save it up for bosses, obviously. So you just get into the music. This little effect here, when you're going between levels, that is so intense in virtual reality. The sort of light speed effect, and sometimes the camera rotates. Gives you a real thrill. Digital buzz. Here we go. Wow, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, now it's getting real. Oh, I love this game. There we go. Upgraded my avatar. It changes my shots, you can see. So now my shots have that sort of angular look to them. Ah. Okay, boss time. Going into a pyramid here. Down a tunnel. Here we go. And so the flavor of the game is this sort of, you're hacking into a system, very 80s. Give me a little fly around, and go. So I believe, and I could be wrong, that you get a higher score if you lock on to things than if you shoot them, because I could just rapid fire like that. Just tap the button a whole bunch of times. Alright, tentacles. Gotta shoot the ends of the tentacles. Oops. You can see there's a health bar for the enemy up there at the top of the screen. So you can see what I was saying about having space to look around you if you're playing this game, because it requires you to look pretty far to the sides and all the way behind you for one of the bosses. So much easier in VR than it was using the controller by itself. If you're playing this not in VR, it is much harder to lock on to everything because you're using the left stick, the analog stick, to look around. There, I used an overdrive just so you could see what it looks like. Alright. There we go. First boss is down. Now, one advantage to just playing the game through like this is that I get to keep the level up to my avatar. So when I start World 2, I'll still have my silvery skin here, which means I can take 4 shots before the end of game. And going up the column there. Your ultimate goal is to break into this column and, I don't know. Oops, I did area 1 again. Dag nabbit. Now that's sad times. Will it keep my... Oh, good. So the music changes for each level, or each world. World 5 is super easy, or at least I found it to be, but I love the music to it. It's got this great Fear is the Mind Killer track. So is it just me, or are these things straight out of Tron? These sort of big ships here. Not that I'm complaining. I love Tron. I think it's awesome. I mean, who hasn't wanted to play, like, actually be in Tron? God. Every once in a while, I'm just playing and suddenly the VR comes to life. You guys watching this feed, you can't possibly see how amazingly cool it is to have this in 3D, in my face, have turning my head, like, put me in the world. Oop, that guy actually got a shot off. If this was a Llamasoft game, I'd get some sort of bonus for shooting stuff after leaving the level. I don't think that this game does that. Speaking of Llamasoft, I don't know if any of you follow Jeff Minter, but he is working on PSVR, has been for a long time. And his next big project is going to be a PSVR project. It's called Polybius, which is a reference to an urban myth about a game that was so intense it caused problems for people, like physical damage. And it's going to be, I don't know, a Jeff Minter take on Rez, I guess. I've seen screenshots, but I haven't seen actual... Well, I've seen a little footage. It looks like a rail shooter of a sort. Yeah. God, this game. Gotcha. That was close. Had to use an overdrive there. Yay, level up. Man, I cannot wait to see what Jeff Minter is doing in VR. From the screenshots I've seen, it looks like Polybius uses sort of digital pixels. By which I mean it's pixel art, or it is, rather than rasters like this, or I mean vectors, it looks as if it uses cubes in space to create the illusion of pixels. I am really curious what Jeff is doing. Oh man. Every once in a while my vertigo kicks in. I have an incredible fear of heights. And looking down sometimes in virtual reality is pretty intense. It's also very strange in... Oh, there, I've leveled up again. In several games that I've played, you use the PlayStation Move controllers to control yourself. And sometimes they'll show up in World, or sometimes you'll see a glove that moves to correspond with what you're doing with the PlayStation Move controller. But very few of those games, for whatever reason, actually give you a body. And that's so disorienting. To look down when you expect to see a body and see the chair in the World, but no legs. I will probably do a stream showing off PlayStation Worlds, the sort of... There's 5 or 6 demo games that they have. Okay, so this boss. I attack this a little differently than I do everything else in the game. Most of the time in this game, I'm holding down the X button to lock on. But this boss, I just hammer on the X button. And the reason for that, you'll see it in a little bit. Here we go. This section of this boss, for some reason, it comes towards you and you have to hit these orange rectangles here in order to advance, or yellow rectangles. If you're locking on, it comes at you too fast. So my advice for people playing this boss, don't hold the X button. Just hammer on it. Otherwise you're gonna lose some lives here. More than once, this section of this boss has shut me down. Okay, almost through this. There we go. Back to tentacle form. I just need to shoot the ends of its tentacles. You can see I haven't had a chance to actually hit the boss yet. Its health bar. There we go. Now I'm shooting the boss itself. And now I have to turn my head pretty significantly in order to hit it. Did about a quarter of its health bar down. This is another case where you have to hammer on the bar. Because these little seed pods, I'm just going to use an overdrive. These little seed pods come at you pretty quickly. It's coming to this one. And although it is a lot easier to do this with your head than it was doing it with the controller, if you're trying to lock on to these guys, it's not fast enough. And they're just going to reach you. The seed pods here will reach you and kill you while you're locked on. Okay, expose the core again. Man, just the soundtrack. This game is so good. So intense. I really, really wish I had... Oh, where'd it go? Had some proper headphones that I could plug into this setup here. He's shooting these sort of waves of things at me. These little Sputniks that I have to shoot. Did I get him? No. Yeah, I got him. Ba-da! Yay! Shoot down 98.09%. Not bad. Really, I missed some support items. Okay. And back to this. Need to check the time. I've got half an hour until my alarm is set to go off. Let's go to Area 3. This level is so relaxing. Got these little cuttlefish guys. If you don't hit them too quickly. Actually, Jeff Minter would probably make an apostrophe police reference. If you don't hit them quickly enough, they open up and shoot you. So gotta nail them quickly. And that's one of the big things with playing this in VR, like I keep saying. So intuitive, fast. That guy got off a missile at me. It's just super easy to... Yes, I used an overdrive on that. I was like, there's too many missiles. Yeah, I missed a couple of those guys. Yeah, got my overdrive back. I think there's only one more level to my avatar. So if I can get a couple more of those blue power-ups, you'll get to see the last level of the avatar, which is Space Baby. Because you gotta have your 2001 references. Oh, maybe you only get Space Baby on level 5, though, on World 5. Because it's sort of part of the story of World 5, so this might be the highest level avatar you can get prior to that. Because I don't see... Yeah, I'm getting the avatar power-ups, and it's not doing anything. Centipedes! Anything that is a reference to ancient 80s games, I'm a fan of. Besides, shooting centipedes makes me think of Grid Runner. Again, back to Jeff Minter. Grid Runner being Jeff's long-running series of games based on Centipede. Yes, I know you're shooting me. Now you're dead. Gotta hit all their body segments before they shoot you. There we go. Okay, here we go. Level 8. That guy almost shot me. No, he did shoot me. Luckily I can shoot his missile. So, the story, what there is of it in this game. God, these guys. I missed one. No. Oh, and I think I missed the exit. Okay, boss time. What I was saying is that the story is, I guess, a story about post-evolution or diaspora from reality. It seems to involve hacking into this computer either to free or destroy a rogue AI, which is self-aware and is the next step in evolution. At least that's my interpretation of it. I guess it's open to interpretation. This is so Tron. Use bricks. Rotate in and out. Like flip over. You can see them flipping there. You can only shoot them when they're exposed and about to shoot. Again, I'm hammering on the X button here. I'm not holding it. I guess that's my attitude towards all the bosses after the first one. Need to destroy all of this shield around this core in order to get in there. Yep, missed that one. Almost there. Is that it? Am I in? Yes. Now this, I have gotten hit by. These here will shoot at you, shoot missiles at you. There they go. Yeah. So, that's something worth saving up some overdrive for. You can shoot them from behind though, which is handy. Am I out of overdrive? Oh, I went down a level. I think that's everything? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Boss time. And yes, this is totally the MCP from Tron. Did I hit them all? Yep. Opens up. And then you just hammer on this in here. Almost. Yep. That was easy. Woohoo! I should do some score attack stuff. I should also do more Area X stuff. Anyways, I think I'm going to call it there. I hope everybody had some fun watching me play some Rez. Yes. You certainly get a sense for what the game is all about. Oh, this is always disorienting. Bringing up the menu and having it insert itself over what you're watching. It's kind of cool though. Shut it down. So, PSVR for life. I love this thing so much. I wish that I had gotten an opportunity to get a Rift, but it just didn't happen, and I'm perfectly happy with my PSVR. It does everything that I want it to do. It gives me that digital high, gets me into the game, and I look forward to showing you guys some more PSVR stuff in the near future. Please like, share, and comment below telling me what else you'd like me to play. And be excellent to each other. Bye, everybody.